I want to explain because there's some narratives going on. And look, man, I, I'm not here to convince you. And let's pardon my French if you have the kids in the room, earmuffs if you want. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you agree or you don't agree, or you want to jump on this reasoning or not, or if you want to understand what I'm about to explain to you. I don't give a fuck. Are we clear on that? Okay. So I'm not here to convince you. If you're not convinced, too bad. That's it. You don't like it? Too bad. You want to get out like, oh, I can't be a Dolphins fan. Bro, then haul ass. Haul ass, dude. Oh, I can't take it anymore. Haul ass, dude. You're just as soft as the Dolphins are. Haul ass. Okay? I get it. I'm pissed too. Sucks. Sucks to end this way. It sucks to watch Tua play bad. It sucks to watch the way McDaniel has completely pissed away 2 seasons already. Yes, all of this sucks. A lot of it sucks. But what's it going to do? Stop me from being a Dolphins fan? Oh, dude. You know what I mean? And by the way, it's pretty hard for us older fans because we saw the good times. And, all we watch are bad times every year. It's kind of hard. You young people, it's really hard on you, but that's all you know. Like, you don't have a taste of goodness. I do. I have lots of slices of goodness and greatness in my history. So it's hard to like watch this and then, and so then but it's also hard to watch fans and then dumbass media influence fans, and fans are easy influenced by things that aren't really logical. They're illogical, and then they just run with it. You know what I mean? The Jordan Love thing is the latest thing that they're running with it, but they really don't understand what's really going on. And so, the history of football, it's interesting. I've told you guys many times, being 57 years old sucks. Okay? As you get older, it sucks. Your body falls apart. You're not the same person. You can't do the things you used to do. There's lots of things that go on. You're taking a lot more medicine than you used to. There's all kinds of things going on that you don't like. Okay? But there is one thing that you do end up picking up is experience and perspective along the way. So when the life is like a uh, a a circle, and it just comes around and goes around and comes around and goes around, and one fad will leave and the fad will come back again, at one point or another. And it happens in fashion, it happens in life, and something that's bell-bottom jeans were fashionable back in the 60s, and then they were fashionable again, in the 80s or late 70s, and then they were fashionable again lately now that you could use some bell bottoms, right? Or whatever, different things come and go, right? So you get to experience stuff and you get to watch things, and sometimes for fans the experience was right in your face, and you didn't understand, you didn't pick up on it, and you talked about it, but now you put it back in your memory bank and you left it there and you forgot all about it. Okay? Like an Omar Kelly memory. You forgot all about it. So let's talk about some things that I've witnessed in my history. I watched a guy by the name of Steve Young go to Tampa Bay and look completely lost and discombobulated. And then he goes to San Francisco and he plays the way he was playing. What was it? The LA Express, right? Was Steve Young was LA Express, I think it was, where he was a good, hell of a BYU player, hell of an LA Express player, terrible Tampa Bay player, and then a hell of a player at San Francisco, right? So the common denominator is you didn't have the right people in Tampa to actually help the man succeed. Um, Dan Marino. Now, I'm not comparing quarterbacks. I'm just comparing situations. Okay. So it's amazing. This happened to you. Those of you that are old enough. You watch Dan Marino with Shula, right? Unleash the Kraken and put up all kinds of yards and points and all kinds of. Then came Jimmy Johnson. Did Jimmy Johnson handle it the right way? Because I ripped Jimmy. I'm pretty consistent about this kind of stuff. Now and then, 25 years ago, doing radio, I ripped Jimmy Johnson for taking away Irving Fryer. This is Dan Marino that I'm talking about. For taking Irving Fryer away and taking Kirby and Byers and taking away the audibles. You know, Marino could change the play to anything he wanted in the playbook with Don Shula. Anything. Okay? Was Don Shula going to always agree with everything Marino did? No. But he trusted him because he was the guy that was on the field experiencing what was going on. There was that different football then. There was a different level of trust with quarterback and coach. That doesn't exist now because they're all paranoid for their jobs. But my point is, the Marino you saw with Shula was way better than the Marino you saw with Jimmy because it was Jimmy's fault. Jared Goff, you just watched him last night. You just watched him for the last couple of seasons develop into a pretty damn good quarterback overall, play better than he ever played with his former team. And he had success with his former team. But how did they manage Jared Goff in that? It was almost like they managed him like, hey, kid, don't screw it up. Whereas with the Lions, it could be third down, and, brother, they will go for a big throw at a big moment, and he makes them. So it depends on who's running your offense and what you're doing. Case in point. You guys love now Jordan Love, right? You want yourself some Jordan Love, don't you? So, Jordan Love last night obviously took care of business. And last night he threw 3 touchdowns. He looked good, by the way. He's played well this year. Okay? I'm not going to take anything away. I like Jordan Love coming out of college. The argument for Jordan Love was taking him early, and I said I would never take him early. I would take him late first round or second round, if anybody remembers this. Why? Because he's a project. He's still too raw. And he had the beauty of being able to sit for 3 years to learn and watch. That's awesome. And then you watch last night. He's 16 of 21 for 272 and 3 touchdowns. Did you know that they ran the ball 33 times for 143 yards? And 3 touchdowns, by the way, right? A couple touchdowns. No, 3. I think it was 3. So they ran the ball 33 times. Tua against Kansas City threw 39 passes. In the worst conditions, this guy's throwing 21 passes in a dome. In perfect conditions, they're running it 33 times. In perfect conditions, Miami runs it 18 times. And I know they fell behind, but that has nothing to do with certain drives that were working with the run. And I showed it to you. Like that one drive where Mostert gets 8, 3, 4, and 6 yards. And you get to 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, and he calls the 2 pass plays. Like, stupid shit. Kaylee Hartung, he tells at halftime, well, we got to sustain drives so the defense not out there. We got to commit more to the run. On the first drive, 2 out of 3 passes. Incompletes, and the only one that was positive was 1 run for Mostert for 5 yards. So what he tells you, me, the public, he does completely the opposite. He doesn't really support his quarterback, right? So last couple of weeks, Jordan Love, they beat the Bears 17-9, 27 of 32. They also ran the ball 27 times for 124 yards. The completions matched the attempts in running. They beat Minnesota 33-10, 24 of 33 for 256 and 3 touchdowns, 39 rushes, 177 yards. way more runs than completions. They beat Carolina 33-30, 17 of 28, 219, 2 touchdowns for Jordan Love. They ran the ball 34 times, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Losses to Tampa Bay, 34-20. They made Jordan Love throw the ball 29 of 39 for 284, and they ran the ball 17 times for 60 yards. The run game didn't work, and they lost. They lose to the Giants 24-22. In that game, he was 24 of 39, nearly 40 passes, 218, a touchdown, and interception. And they ran the ball 25 times, 123, 1 touchdown. Reasonable, but not really successful. And they didn't run more than they threw. They threw 39-25. Comprende, compadre? And I could go through some of the other games with losses. Sometimes there are games where I'll give you one on a loss where on a win. Let me do it in a win. That's where it matters. They beat the Raiders 27-27, right? 23-20. He threw 27 of 40 in that game, 322, and they ran the ball 28 for only 102. So it happened a couple times where, right? But my point is that if you watch the last 5 weeks down the stretch where they won 3 of 5, and then you watch the playoff game, it is run a responsible way. They are committed to the run to support the quarterback. So they don't want him throwing 40 times a game. They want him throwing in the 20s, completing high teens to low 20s. They don't need him to throw a bunch. They need to run the ball. And they can run the ball. I think Miami can too. And he abandons the run last year. He abandons the run this year. And it's what I'm trying to explain to you. Okay. You guys can get up all, crazy about Tua and all that. Mike McDaniel is an intelligent person who does not use common sense to run his offense. He runs the most difficult offense in the NFL, passing wise, with Tua. If you want to run this kind of an offense, then you need a Dan Marino, something Tua could never, ever be in his life. You need a wicked John Elway, gunslinger, Brett Favre type. That's not Tua's game. So that's not Drew Brees' game. Okay? That's not Peyton Manning's game. Okay? These kind of quarterbacks need play action. They need the running game. It kind of works hand in hand for them. But if you think that you could just put Tua out there to just gunsling, that's not who he is. And so Mike McDaniel is not actually using Tua the way he's supposed to use Tua. That's the real issue that's going on here. He's not running the offense in a responsible fashion. You look at it, the Buffalo game, you lose 21-14, 17 of 27, 173 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. You ran 20 times for 108 yards. You lose to Baltimore. You ran 25 times for 154, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for Tua. The Dallas game that you won, he went 24 of 37, 293. In that game, they didn't run well. Kind of like a Jordan Love, like I told you. There are games where you're not going to run well, but the quarterback will help you out. And in that final drive, there was a lot of running, actually, to win that game because it's important. You know what I mean? The loss to Kansas City, 21 of 34, 193, a touchdown. You ran only 21 times for 117 and 1 touchdown. Now, Tyreek lost that game all by himself. Tua put a beautiful bomb to him. He dropped it, and his fumble that led to a touchdown. The loss to Philadelphia, you ran 12 times for 45 yards. Tua was 22 of 32 for 216. It's just, these are things that go on with this team that they're frustrating. Everything can't be explained. The loss to Tennessee, you ran it 31 times for 158. But of course, it was the defense that gave up those 14 points at the end. You know what I'm saying? The bottom line is Mike McDaniel is your real problem. Tua didn't play well this year, and he has to own up to that, and he has to make better decisions, and he has to stop being completely influenced by Mike McDaniel. They need to sit down with Mike McDaniel. I'm talking about Greer, Allen, McKenzie, Garfinkel, okay? They need to sit down with him and fix this. Because, again, you got to listen to me because you fanatics out there, you don't listen to me, okay? At no point have I ever said to fire Mike McDaniel. At no point. But I am saying you got to fix this. And whether Frank Smith becomes the play caller, whether there's an understanding that this year you've got to change, Mike, okay? And you got to cut up the film. And you got to show him where's the short passing game. And by the way, there's a lazy, and this happens all over the place. Oh, others aren't getting open because I'm seeing that written and I'm seeing that talked about. Let me explain something to you. It's very disheartening to have 8 decoys and only 2 guys that are constantly getting the ball. That's just, there's no carrot dangling, dude. You're not feeding them. You're not keeping them involved in the game. It's just human nature. Now, guys are open because I've seen it where Tua's forcing it to one guy, and if you look at the wider screen, there's other people open. So please don't tell me that others aren't getting open. They are getting open. And guess whose job is it to make sure they get open? Mike McDaniel. So let me ask you something. Are you dedicated more to the run game? No, you're not. So what would happen if you dedicated more to the run game? Might there be one less linebacker in the box? Right? I mean, might there be one more linebacker in the box and less out in coverage? Might there be a safety cheating in instead of being in coverage? Could that open it up for your passing game? Well, yes, it can, Orlando. The problem, the obvious problem, is Mike McDaniel. He doesn't know how to put his players in positions to consistently be successful. He has zero awareness of what's going on in a game. He has to become better aware of what's going on in a game. Okay? He has to win challenges. It's not about beating Buffalo once out of the next 3 or 4 games. It's about beating Buffalo on a consistent basis. It's about beating them more than they beat you. But how do you get there? You get there by coaching up a smarter game. Okay, game's over. Let me get Chubb. Let me get some of the important players out and not risk injury. No awareness whatsoever. Mike McDaniel lacks total awareness as a head coach. And that's why I told you we've reached a fork in the road. Doesn't mean to fire him. It means shit or get off the pot. And so this year becomes a pivotal year for Mike McDaniel. You don't have time. LaFleur knows how to coach. That's the difference. He knows how to develop. It's a beautiful thing that Love was able to sit and watch a Hall of Famer for 3 years. That's an advantage most young QBs don't have. Back when I was young, that was the norm, that you would come in and learn and sit down and kind of, that was cool for you. You know what I mean? But when he is playing, he has a coach that understands that I only have to put my quarterback in a position to make a couple of throws. But as a coordinator, I have to make sure that I make his life easy. Do they not run like crazy with Brock Purdy? Right? And I know that they've cheated Tua out of a playmaking tight end. because this offense is notorious for having a playmaking tight end. You have to have it. And they don't really have that. And I get that. And they've tried to defend them. They've tried to get it. But as a coach, you need to adjust, dude. You need to adjust. Jim Jensen wasn't outrunning anybody. Oronde Gadsden wasn't outrunning anybody. He still got the ball. It's up to you, offensive coordinator. You're the genius, but you're too busy designing plays for two guys, not for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 guys that are on the roster that can actually catch the ball. So when you design something, design for everyone. Okay? Because believe it or not, Mike McDaniel, again, lack of awareness. Your best decoys are your best players, not the lesser players. Okay? So if they're double teaming and triple teaming Tyreek or Waddle, then math says others are open. Then you are instilling terrible habits in your quarterback. Your quarterback is not thinking for himself, and he's also, it's on Tua too. I got to blame Tua for this. But there's nobody right now more at fault for the Dolphins' failures the last 2 years. Not just this season, but last season he was a total fuck up. Mike McDaniel. Okay? Your head coach in the middle of a playoff game cannot not know what down it is. Okay? And then the following season, off a playoff game, you can't have your quarterback at the podium saying, well, we don't get plays in on time, and we get no plays in on time. We can't really adjust the protections. We can't change the play because we don't have any more time. That's a great way to put your quarterback at a real advantage, Mike McDaniel. You can't get the freaking play in on time, and that's supposed to help your quarterback. That won't help Jordan Love. That won't help anybody that's there. So the huge difference that Jordan Love has over Tua is that Matt LaFleur is 100 times better on game day than Mike McDaniel is. Mike McDaniel's lovable, likable. He's a good person. He's got a great heart. He can communicate with players, all of that. But he has a problem. He's not a good offensive coordinator, and his team has no discipline. Zero discipline. They do stupid things all throughout the game. Constantly, they're doing stupid things all throughout the game. Penalties at the worst time. It's just drops, mistakes. It continues. And that's from last year and this year. He instills zero discipline on this team. That's on the coach. He's got a lot to fix. I will tell you this, while I'm not saying to fire him because I don't want the revolving door, I don't want another coach, he's got a lot to fix, but he has to fix it by the end of next year. And if he doesn't, you really have to think about making a change, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Now, I will tell you this. This is the depressing part about all of this. Okay? I don't think Mike McDaniel learns a damn thing. That's what he's proven to me for 2 years. That he wants to be a gunslinging offensive coach. He wants to take chance after chance after chance, risk after risk after risk. He refuses to play a responsible game. He refuses to make decisions that are responsible. So, to me, I don't hold a lot of hope for him to change next year because he's kind of shown me his colors for 2 straight years. At least Tua, for me, he showed me incredible discipline this year that he finally learned, okay, I can't hang on to the ball. I got to get rid of it. And he did a marvelous job this year being disciplined that way. I need him next year to make better decisions on a consistent basis. And sometimes say, you're taking too long. I'm going to call a play myself. I need a win on this play. I need to be at the line of scrimmage already, and I need to have my protections in place. So if I can change something, I can change. I can't wait for you at the end. Oh, you sent in a play that I don't like. I'm going with something else. He's going to have to do a little bit of that because the guy on the sidelines doesn't know what he's doing. So there's where I blame Tua. Tua has to do a little bit more thinking for himself because it's his ass on the line. I know I had to hear all the stupid shit last year from a bunch of you. Oh, Tua can't stay healthy, this, that. And now I got to hear the stupid shit from some of you out there. Oh, Tua can't win. He can't put you over the top. I don't believe any of that. I believe Tua can easily put you over the top, but you gotta coach it the right way. Every player is different. They have different skill sets, and you can't treat them the same. You can't play the game of Brett Favre with Tua Tagovailoa. You can't play the Dan Marino game with Tua Tagovailoa. That's what he wants to do. He can't do that. He doesn't have that kind of quarterback there. He has to play the Drew Brees game. He has to play the Tom Brady game. Okay? You need to mix things up. You got to have the short passing game in there. His short passing game is non-existent. Go look at Warren Sharp's scale that he puts up every year now, and Tua has the most difficult passing tree in the entire NFL, yet he's not the guy with the wicked arm. How do you do that? How do you do that? If you're not playing with Namath's arm or Marino's arm, right? Or Josh Allen's arm. And you don't want Josh Allen throwing 40 times either, because then turnovers come. You want the running game, right? Why do you think Ken Dorsey's dumbass got fired? Because he kept doing Mike McDaniel stupid shit. Great example, right in your fucking backyard. Right in your backyard, like Marino with JJ. Right in your backyard. I don't do it. What's going on? When you don't handle the player the right way, those are your results. So I just think that people don't really look at it. You just react. Oh, Jordan Love. No, dumbass. Look what's actually going on. Give Tua that offense, and he'll be fine too. He'll make all those throws and all those plays because he's got a running game. He's got a coach that knows how to call an offense. It's intelligence. McDaniel has it. He's not using it. That's all. Just not smart. And you better fix it.
This is the Big O Show.